While busboarding might not be the most popular thing in real life, it is absolutely part of an airport. And today we are taking a look at A4Airport's bid for just those areas. And the best news right away, if you should end up being interested in purchasing this, then there is right now the opportunity for a 10% discount if you're using the code BONGOPLANES. With that, hello and welcome to a new special review where we are taking a look at one of the new products of A4Airport, in particular the Airport Aprons with ATC. Now, before we get any further into the review, I should as always mention that this is a prototype, so there might be some minor inaccuracies here and there, but it is very close to the final product that you can get if you should be interested. Now, A4Airport has, of course, by now a quite wide portfolio of products on offer. Some that are more for the advanced builders and some that are most definitely very easy and perfect for beginners when it comes to, well, airport setups and also building cardboard or paper cut buildings. In this case, we are most definitely in a beginner-friendly range with these apron positions and then some auxiliary buildings and an ATC tower. These buildings are really the most easy to make. Any beginner can do so. I mean, this is basically just a rectangular, a bit of a square. Yes, of course, the ATC tower has maybe one or two more folds, but it is super simple, and it is especially designed to be as simple as can be while still looking great on your setup. In terms of the apron here, this is of course the trusted A4 format. Although we are, of course, now working with A3 plates and not A4 plates, but the system is the same. You have the base plates with a really extraordinary, brilliant and good print. Then, of course, you on the underside can add another piece of cardboard. That is, of course, because you also add the magnet system, which holds all these plates together. And then you will get a little bit of a height difference, and that's why you're adding these pieces of cardboard as well, so that you get a nice even setup. Now, these apron positions have been designed so they work together, so you can have the auxiliary buildings with the ATC tower and some aprons over here, and then you can have even more remote stands over here. But it has also been designed so that it can be added to other A4Airport sets you might already have. This ensures great flexibility, as you can add various runway sections to the set, but also add this set to, for example, the low-cost Terminal 2 or the International Terminal 1. All recommended combinations can be seen here. Now, over at this part of the setup, we have multiple stands for narrow-body aircraft. And of course, we see that in many airports that you have these remote stands that are either used for operations, so basically aircraft that are coming in and being turned around and then leaving the airport again, or if, for example, an airport has limited spaces at the terminals themselves and you have aircraft that are maybe staying longer, they can then be pushed over to a remote stand so that you can free up the space at the gate areas right at the terminals. Now, this is obviously a procedure that you would often see, for example, with wide-body aircraft that are coming in from long-distance flights and then are staying longer than narrow-body counterparts. And for that, you, of course, then also need larger positions. And that you find over here, because here you have a lovely combination of stands for narrow-body and for wide-body aircraft. You have, for example, this entire line here where you can actually switch in between, either having two narrow-body aircraft in a position or one wide-body. I really love that because it gives you a whole lot of flexibility. You then also have on these further out remote stands, again, a combination of having either narrow bodies or wide bodies, and you then even have a third option if you have a wide body that is a little bit too long for the position otherwise. You can then put it in a slight angle, which of course gives you then the option of having this a little bit longer wide body aircraft in a position. Love that, because again, it just gives so much flexibility in how you are displaying your aircraft on these remote stands. Apart from the really excellent, and I cannot stress this out enough, really excellent print quality of A4Airport. I have yet to find another product that has this lovely of a print on their base plates, but you do, as always, also get a bit of model grass, and that has been perfectly cut out so that it fits the base plate ideally, so you don't need to add it yourself afterwards. It's already been done. That's always a really lovely feature, and I think worth mentioning. Now, when it comes to these buildings, as I say, they are super beginner friendly. You can hardly get any easier shapes than that. You again have a piece of paper with the print where you then cut out the pieces for these buildings. And again, also here you have such a lovely print quality. I really, really do like that. And once you've then put them together, there you can use glue, any type of glue, really, stick glue. I personally prefer double-sided tape, which also works quite well with these kind of buildings, but you find what works best for you. But once you then put them together, well, you just add them to the setup here. It is as easy as can be. So this is it, the new A4Airport apron with ATC. What can we say about this lovely setup? Now, one thing is remote stands, which I think is often a part of an airport setup that is kind of overlooked. Of course, we all want to get to the action right at the terminal, but remote stands are an essential part of a setup, and here you have a great way of adding that to your existing setups. But remote stands in these areas aren't just completely empty. You often find quite a few auxiliary buildings. So buildings that have a lot of support equipment or any other necessities that ground crews, for example, need. Could even be, you know, restrooms, or it can be whatever is needed on these remote areas. It could be a building where luggage is handled. These kind of buildings you will find across a setup. So it is nice to have a remote area or remote stand like this, but with some of these auxiliary buildings, because again, it just adds more scenery to the overall setup. So what we have here, I think, is one, a great set for any beginners because it is so simple. Two, it is a great addition to any existing setup because it just adds some of these areas, some of these parts of the airports that we perhaps tend to overlook a bit. And then we get, thirdly, you know, again, the great A4 quality with lovely prints, lovely cutout modeling grass, and we get the flexibility in our setup again to set up the models in many different ways so that it really just looks realistic. And not to forget, you are not just getting the base plates and these buildings, but you actually also again get a whole lot of GSE. Again, if you had to buy that separately, that would be quite expensive. Here you get these paper cut GSEs, which is a very inexpensive and great way of filling up your setup, making your setup lively and look realistic. So this is it, the new A4Airport apron with ATC. And the best news I can give you is that if you are ordering it within this time period, there is a 10% discount if you use the code BONGOPLANES. So if you are interested, now is the best time to make a good deal. And with that, we have reached the end of this special review. If you like this type of content and would like to see more of new A4Airport products here in the future, then be sure to leave a like. And if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? With that, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.